Susan Dey, a teenage girl barely past 18, rocketed into a pop culture emblem, crystal clear beauty, natural talent, and a smile that won over millions. Yet, the brighter she glowed, on screen as the perfectly composed Laurie Partridge, the more fractures spread behind the scenes. Born the 10th of December 1952 in Illinois, to a middle-class family, her father, a newspaper editor, her mother, a nurse, she seemed set for an ordinary childhood until, at 8, her mother died suddenly. The shock burrowed in. Instead of acting out, Susan turned inward, learned quiet, and grew up too fast. Her father moved the children to New York and remarried Gail, a practical, perceptive woman who became more than a stepmother. Noticing Susan's luminous looks and unguarded innocence, she snapped photos and mailed them to modeling agencies. At 15, the contracts came magazine covers, photo shoots bringing Susan validation she'd never trusted she deserved, and a spotlight whose price she couldn't yet imagine. In 1970, just after turning 18, an ABC producer spotted her modeling shot, and fate pivoted hard. No formal acting classes, no prior TV or film work, yet she won Laurie Partridge in The Partridge Family after only a few auditions. Her natural openness, expressive eyes, and unforced presence convinced producers they had the teenage girl America wanted, and they were right. From the first season, ratings soared. The family's records climbed the charts, and a tidal wave of fandom followed. Her face filled posters, lockers, notebooks, bedroom walls, while bags of fan mail hit the studio weekly. But maintaining the perfect girl came at a cost she paid with her body. Pressed to stay as slim as the era's TV standards demanded, she spiraled into extreme dieting, at one point living on carrots and celery, dropping to 41 kilograms as her arms thinned to fragile branches, and still she smiled on cue. With no professional foundation to lean on, she learned, while filming harmonies, piano, scene craft, struggling for breath beneath the sudden weight of fame. The show ran 4 seasons, stacking hits and nominations, and as the spotlight grew hotter, the cracks within her widened. Who would notice the loneliness of a girl forced to mature at speed? In 1972, she reached the big screen in Skyjacked with Charlton Heston, just 2 years after she'd never faced a film camera, proving she had more than wholesome charm. That same year, she released Secrets on Boys, Beauty and Popularity, a bestseller whose straightforward advice turned her into a guide for countless American girls. When The Partridge Family ended in 1974 at the top, it left millions heartbroken, and a thinner, quieter Susan, afraid she might be trapped forever, as Laurie, a sunnier girl than she was in life. Escaping that shadow became the true fight. She kept working, an appearance on Hawaii, 5-0 more film steps after Skyjacked, then the 1978 series Little Women, each choice a deliberate push away from typecasting. In 1977, she gambled on the romantic sitcom Loves Me, Loves Me Not. Ratings sagged, and the show was canceled after 6 episodes, a hard reminder that reinvention would be longer and rougher than hoped. Yet that same year, she delivered the harrowing Mary Jane Harper Cried Last Night, playing a young mother unraveling. Critics took notice, seeing the serious actress beneath the former teen idol. The definitive turning point came in 1986. L.A. Law cast her as Grace Van Owen, first a sharp prosecutor and later a principled, unflinching judge. The role demanded technical precision and emotional authority, legalese clipped and exact, ethics shaded and human, and Susan met it with steel and warmth, revealing fissures of vulnerability behind resolve. The show exploded, pulling tens of millions weekly. In 1988, she won a Golden Globe and earned 3 consecutive Emmy nominations. Off-screen, she guarded Grace's integrity, resisting a formulaic romantic detour and insisting via contract that the character remain a woman with a voice and vocation, not window dressing. As a result, Grace became an emblem of modern professional women on television. Alongside the series, she chased heavy, truthful work. TV movies like Lies and Lullabies, 1993, where she portrayed a pregnant woman addicted to drugs, evidence that she sought depth over easy attention. Not every risk landed. A stint on Saturday Night Live showed she could improvise and charm, but Love and War faltered, and she was replaced for lack of chemistry with the male lead. She didn't plead, rage, or cling. She stepped away with dignity, choosing projects that respected her craft. When the cameras dimmed, private wounds surfaced. The most public and painful involved David Cassidy. They met as teenagers on The Partridge Family. On screen, they were the ideal brother-sister pair, but Susan quietly fell in love with his wit and magnetism while he lived in a whirlwind of adoration. After the series ended, they went out. They spent a night together that for Susan felt like love, and for David became guilt. And in 1994, his memoir turned that memory into a spectacle. Feeling betrayed, she cut contact. When he died in 2017, she remained silent. Grief sometimes fractures anew when named aloud. Before and after David, there were relationships that shaped her. A tender, stabilizing stretch with Dale McRaven, a creative soul who offered safety when fame bruised. A marriage in 1976 to veteran agent Lenny Hershen that brought their daughter Sarah 2 years later, but ended in 1981, the 25-year age gap and diverging ambitions widening into distance. And finally, a quieter, steadier love with producer Bernard Safronski, who embraced Susan and Sarah without fanfare. They married in 1988, chose New York over red carpets, and built a life of ordinary joys, reading, gardening, walks where belonging replaced applause. By 2002, she briefly returned as Grace in L.A. Law, the movie, a respectful nod to the character that remade her. And in 2004, she closed her on-screen chapter with Third Watch. No press conference, no farewell tour, only a decisive, gentle exit that protected her peace. Away from cameras, she gave back quietly, supporting survivors through the UCLA Rape Treatment Center, where she once served on the board. No statuette glows brighter than a life turned toward compassion. In memory, America keeps 2 portraits, Laurie Partridge of the early 72nds and Grace Van Owen of the 1982nds, youthful light and adult authority, held by one woman who refused to be boxed in. Perhaps Susan Dey's greatest legacy isn't ratings or trophies, but the choice she made after surviving loss at 8, an eating disorder that carved at her body, the public commodification of a private love, and professional disappointments that could have embittered her. She chose a smaller life that felt true. Today, she prefers quiet over noise, substance over glare, self-respect over nostalgia. Proof, sometimes the bravest act is stepping away before the light burns your eyes.